Hi guys, it's Beth. Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another day of Christmas in July. So what I have to share today are the final projects I've made from the Hope and Faith pad from Craftsmart, and this is what I have left of the pad. So some of the things you haven't seen yet are, this is my handy wooden tray, and I've just kind of thrown some of the projects that I haven't shared yet in here. I made some more of the little double pocket Ghirardelli holders and used some of the cut-aparts as my embellishments on them, and then just some gold ribbon and some golden white baker's twine. And then I made some more gift tags, and these I made using the pad cover. So part of the pad cover was usable, because you know how the pad covers, they've got, usually it's a preview of some of the papers, like in this one was in stripes, and then off to the side there was some information about the pad, and then down at the bottom it's got the big old hot buy circle. So I harvested what I could from the pad that I thought I could make some gift tags out of. And these are nice gift tags. They like almost have a chipboard feel since they're from the cover. And the patterns were pretty, so I didn't necessarily do a whole lot to them. And plus, I didn't have any scraps left by this point. So I had some stars that I had punched out of some cardstock scraps that I had left, and just used those to embellish. Let's see, I was thinking there was some more, they might be caught up in the cards, but so there was a longer strip of this cream background with a gold tree, so I just kind of divided it into three, and then added a burgundy star on the bottom corner of each one, and then added some Wink of Stella to them. And then the backs are blank, because I know there's a lot of times where I know I've purchased and I've received gifts with like just some chipboard tags, and there's a design on the front, and that's it. Like there's not a whole lot to it. So that's kind of what I was going for. And then this was a longer, skinnier strip of like this plumish, maroonish background with the gold stars. And so I had some gold foil cardstock left, and so I had punched some gold stars just to add a little more glimmer to those two tags. And then these were just some smaller pieces. This was the top. It was part of a scene of like nativity, but you couldn't see really anything outside of this 2-inch width. And so I just cut out the star and made that the focal point, and just kind of left that alone. And then this one was just the top of like a cut apart preview. And so I just made that kind of trimmed it down so that was the focal point of the tag. So there are 5 gift tags. I did one hot cocoa pocket, and this is made using an envelope. It's bigger than normal. I found them on clearance somewhere, and I bought a whole bunch of them. So it's 5 inches wide and 5 inches tall. So the envelope itself was 5 by 10. And I just cut it in half. So it just makes a nice big pocket that, you know, I can put some hot cocoa in. And I just embellished it. Like this is the border strip cut apart paper that I just used piece of, and then cut apart. And then these 2 angels I had fussy cut out of another paper. So. And I also made some more of these 6x6 photo cards, and this is the idea that I got from Amber over at Lyric Lover Craft last Christmas time, and I've made a bunch of these for different occasions, but there was a 6x6 cut apart page, and so I thought this would be cute to give as a Christmas card. You could tuck gift cards in, or you could write a note, or add a couple pictures of, you know, you at the holidays or your family at the holidays. This would be cute to send to like a grandparent or family member or something like that. That was kind of my thought process anyway. But there was a pattern, a 12 by 12 pattern, and it had just kind of, this little town over here in the corner, and then the Star of David at the top, and then kind of like just the desert background. And so I started with that as my main card base. And then I added down here at the bottom on this side, there was a border strip cut apart, and it says, "O little town of Bethlehem, how still we see thee lie." And so I just trimmed it in half basically, and then added it to both sides of the bottom of this page. And at the top of the inside, this was another border cut apart. I just cut it down and made it into a pocket, decorated it with a cut apart, and then this was a journal tag cut apart in the pad as well. So on the outside, this was a 6x6 cut apart, and so I just added it to make kind of like the cover to the card. This one was another cut apart, so if you're looking at it on the back side, it actually, the orientation comes out. And so I just used that on a page, and then this was another one of the 6x6 cut aparts as well, a smaller version of this one, but it has the 3 wise men on it. And I did come in with some Wink of Stella in a couple different places just to add a little extra shimmer, but other than that, I didn't add a whole lot to it. So I will include the link to Amber's video below where she demonstrates this, and I have made these on videos before as well, so I will try and find one of mine and link it down in the description box as well. And then as far as cards go, I did make several more cards with the scraps that I had left. And if you remember when I did my big card share, I kind of showed you some of the scraps I had left and kind of let you know that I was stuck. And so I put it away for a few days. Actually, I went on vacation and I came back and was just eager to get back into it and finish it off, and was looking through some card sketches again and found some good ones, some ones that I hadn't used, either hadn't used at all before or hadn't used very often. And so I came back with like a renewed vigor and excitement to finish it. And so I'm sure the vacation helped because I did get to craft a little bit. We went camping, and so I always do a little bit of camper crafting. So I did get to craft a little bit, but not a whole lot. So I was really just eager to get my hands back into projects. So the break definitely helped, and I was excited to come in and finish it off. So here is Operation Right Home sketch number 42. And this is a great one to use these strips. So whenever, I always end up with some bigger strips like this. And I don't know if it's when I'm cutting down those bigger sheets for, like maybe the main focal point on my card, I always end up, they're almost like 2 inches wide. So I always end up with some wider strips like that. So I was excited to see this sketch because it was a different way to use those. So I just took some of the gold foil cardstock that I'd gotten at Recollections, and then I used 2 different stamps from the Away in a Manger stamp set by Echo Park, just to kind of create a little scene and focal point here that I backed on that gold cardstock. And I do have scraps now on the inside of all of my cards, so I was able to use up everything. This is another Operation Right Home sketch. This one is number 57. And it just kind of uses a bunch of different size scraps. And so I added a card mat on this one because I knew there was going to be a lot of blank space left after I added those pieces. This one was not quite as wide as what the sketch called for, so I had to alter these pieces as well a little bit. And so I knew there was going to be more space. So I just took a stamp from my stamp set with a tree that says peace, and then punched it into a circle and backed it with a circle from some more of that gold foil cardstock. This one, I didn't have a sketch, was just trying to use up some random bits and pieces. So there's 3 different strip sizes here of some scraps. And then this was a border cut apart that I had left. and so I just kind of added that kind of as my sentiment. And then this was it's a epoxy type sticker from the Away in a Manger sticker sheet. And so I just backed it on some tan cardstock and made that the focal point. And then used the rest of the border here on the inside. This is the Paper Players number 80. And it used another common size scrap that I always seem to have. So I just pieced two of the same pattern papers together. They were already close in size anyway. I think I only had to trim them down to make them like less tall, just so that I could have a gap and then some space left around. So just use that piece stamp again, and this time I backed it on some, it's like a goldish brown cardstock. And I used the same here. I just kind of coordinated with the gold patterns that were in the paper. I did two of those. This one just has the trees instead of the doves. This is my favorite thing, sketch number 162, and again it used a couple different sized scraps for me. So this is one I actually cut it into two pieces. So it was a rectangle, but it wasn't wide enough to be able to see on either side of my strips here, my banners. And so I just cut it into two pieces and then covered the gap with all my little banner strips here. So I was, excuse me, pretty low on pattern paper by this point. So I used one strip of pattern paper and then a strip of the red cardstock and some of that gold foil cardstock. And then double matted my sentiment piece here. And then just took some, I had already punched some circles out of some of the scraps of the gold foil cardstock, and so I just added those at the bottom to help kind of balance it out. This is another great sketch to use up that size strip that I have a lot of. And it is Operation Right Home number 24. And so I used it mainly, like I pieced my strips together, and then I had this piece cut apart. Was the only like real cut apart that I had left. And then I just took two different size scraps. I didn't really worry about the size that went behind it because my focal point here didn't match the dimensions on the sketch anyway. So, and I just backed both of those layered pieces on some of that gold foil cardstock to help them stand out against the dark blue. And instead of doing a lot of little scrap cards like I normally do, while I was on vacation, I was excited to come home, or I received my package and was excited to come home to it. I had ordered two dies from My Favorite Things, and they're both like cover-up dies. And this one is called the Stitch Collage Frame, and so it's just got like different size pieces in it. And then this one is the Horizontal Collage Cover-Up die. So I've seen Christy Marcotte use this one before. I hadn't seen this one. But when I was on their website, I saw that they had this one, so I went ahead and snatched it too. But I always liked when Christy used these, and so I was happy to get my hands on that. And a side note, whenever you use these dies, and whenever you go to cut your frame, you always end up with all these little inside pieces. And for some reason, I can't bring myself to throw them away. So does anybody else save those? Because they're cute little stitch circles. And there have been times where I've had to pull from them on some of my other collage dies to fill in, like if I'm working on another pad, I can sometimes will need to fill in, you know, maybe I didn't have enough of the pattern paper pieces to make my collage, so I fill in with the solid color cardstock sometimes. So I have used them. And then at some point I'm probably just going to have to use, you know, a normal card front and just without the frame, just add the squares onto the card. But anyway, so I was excited to get these two cover-up dies and try them out. And I will include links to these in the description box below if you are interested in getting a hold of those as well. So this one is the collage frame, just the stitch collage frame. And I had two bigger pieces, and so I just went ahead, they were part of a bigger 12 by 12 frame image, and so I just kind of added those together. They're not quite straight, but, and then I only had two pieces big enough or wide enough to, or one pattern piece to be wide enough to cover this open spot, and then two cardstock pieces. And so I covered this cardstock piece down here with my sentiment, Oh Holy Night, which is from the Echo Park Twas Away in a Manger stamp set. And then I used two of the epoxy stickers, also from the Away in a Manger sticker sheet, just to add some additional color and to add something to that cardstock section up there. And then I made like 7 or 8 using this horizontal collage cover-up die. I had tons of like more narrow strips that would fit these squares better than the bigger one. So I just stood over at my Big Shot and cut away for a while until I got all the strips cut up. So on this one, on these two, I tried to keep my focus on the ones with the gold foiling. Except for this one piece, I was out of the gold foiled parts. And I backed them on, so there's a matte layer of gold foil cardstock behind my white cardstock frame. And then I left the white, like I usually end up leaving the 1/8 inch white or border anyway on my card fronts because I like that frame for some reason. So I just put in this longer middle section, just some solid navy cardstock. And then this Noel is actually some gold vinyl that I had used to cut out the Noel, just trying to use up some vinyl scraps. So this one's the same, it's just got a bigger Noel on it, but otherwise it's done the same way. And then the rest of them are all just like random pattern pieces. Here, a Peace on Earth is from that Away in a Manger stamp set from Echo Park. These two angels were fussy cut out of the pad. And so this one uses those angels as well. And by the time I got to this was the last one I filled in the frame on, and so they're like all the solid colored pieces of the pattern papers. And so these two I have, like the Wise Men Still Seek Him is also a sentiment from the Away in a Manger stamp set. And I liked it because you can put it in that middle section and you can still see some of the cardstock piece around it. But I couldn't figure out how I wanted to embellish it. So I just went ahead and left them like this for now. And if I want to go back in and add some stars or something, I can. And then one more, and this used a scrap of that border strip with the words on it. And then I just used a star to help make that a little bit more substantial. So those were the final cards that I made, and then the other projects that I had made and hadn't shared throughout, because I think I started with these were one of the first things I made, but I didn't share them. I just decided to wait until I had a little bit more to share. So next up will just be kind of a pad wrap up for all of the projects that I got out of this Hope and Faith pad. So I hope you guys enjoyed this project share and maybe got some more ideas on how to use up your pad. I know a lot of you have this pad or something similar. If you have any questions, let me know. Card sketches and the dies and then Amber's video for these cards will all be linked in the description box below. But I thank you guys so much for your time and for following along on this pad project with me, and I hope you're all having a crafty day.